All right. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being a part of today's roundtable orientation for lenders, realtors, title companies, and housing partners. The purpose of this is pretty much to collaboratively process transactions with the various programs offered by HED. I'm just going to go over a couple of ground rules for everyone. Please remain on mute to give everyone a fair chance to listen to all of the information being provided today. If you have any questions, we'll have a slide where we'll ask questions for everyone and we'll provide answers. Also, that we have a unique chat feature for those who dial using the video chat. You'll be able to jot your questions in the chat box, and a member of HED will kindly assist you all with any questions you may have. Right, so 1 second. All right. So the agenda, these are all the items that we're going to go over today. The introduction, the purpose, the program description and overview, processing and underwriting, making the numbers work, which is processing and also underwriting, the notice to proceed, Palm Beach County inspection process, the home buyer inspection requirements, the property selection, the process overview, the pre-closing process, the closing process, the wiring process, delays with processing and or closing, the borrower's responsibility, a Q&A for purchase assistance. We're also going to have workforce housing program information, the workforce housing program orientations, processing underwriting for that, and also Q&A for workforce housing, followed with the adjournment. All right, so meet the team. We have Dorina Jenkins Gaskin, our Division Director 3, Wanda G. Gatson, our Housing Program Manager, Rosa Rodriguez, our Housing Program Coordinator, Rosalind Powell, our Housing Program Coordinator. We have Leslie George, the Department Housing Liaison, Sharian Smith, our Housing Program Specialist 2, myself, Tyrone Jacobs, also a Housing Specialist 2, Jeremy Wiggins, Housing Program Specialist 2, Mark Graham, Patricia Rojas, Jasmine Cruikshank, Tammy Whitehall, and Valerie Troop, all being our Housing Program Specialist 1s. As for the compliance inspectors, we have Manny Bergiano and Michael Tui, followed by our housing technician, Antoinette Prescott, our housing program technician also, Romeo Sankey, and our clerical assistant, Sasha Gutierrez. So the purpose of this roundtable orientation is to educate all interested parties on the steps required to effectively process transactions involving the purchase assistance housing programs made available to income eligible home buyers. All right, provide information about program requirements, file processing, and closing procedures. All right, so the purchase assistance program description. Funding will be available to income eligible first-time home buyers for purchase assistance with or without rehabilitation or new construction. TIP or home funds will be awarded to assist with gap financing, lot acquisition, down payment, rehabilitation of the unit to be purchased, and closing costs. So the maximum award that each applicant can receive is up to $100,000. Note, subsidy is reserved, not guaranteed. The maximum purchase price for these programs is $568,557. So it cannot exceed the maximum purchase price for purchase. Additional information. Applicant must secure a first mortgage pre-approval from a lender. The applicant may attend a free application orientation hosted by HED. Once income certified, the applicants are required to attend a mandatory phase 2 orientation. The applicant may not currently own assets exceeding $200,000 and or a combination of liquid and non-liquid assets exceeding the current purchase price limits. Funds will be awarded as a 0% interest deferred payment loan secured by a recorded mortgage, promissory note, and declaration of restrictions for 30 years. The loan is forgiven at the end of the 30-year term. EBC debt to income ratios are 35% max for housing payment and 45% max for all debts. The Palm Beach County loan will be in default if the property is sold, rented, or failure to occupy home as primary residence. All right, so the processing and underwriting portion. So the borrower required contribution into transaction. All borrowers are required to contribute at least 3.5% SHIP program or 2.5% home program of the purchase price and repairs. Gift funds may be used, however, the source of the applicant's contribution must be documented. So that means that they must contribute 3.5% for SHIP and 2.5% for home of their own funds. They have to show proof as well by all bank statements. The commitment letter must be issued from the lender. A broker letter would not be accepted. Origination fee, maximum mortgage or broker fees cannot exceed 1.75% of the loan amount. Combining fees such as application, loan origination, discount points, underwriting, mortgage rate lock, loan processing, broker rebate, administration, lender document prep, and broker compensation cannot surpass the 1.75%. That's a term percentage. Also, if they're buying discount points, which we've encountered, as long as they're reducing their rate, we'll ask for an exception to see if we can move forward. But just please do not guarantee. There's not a guaranteed approval. Okay, so just be sure that we stay as close as the 1.75 that you can origination.
Tyrone, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So we normally pay for the closing cost of the borrower, and so sometimes we buy their rate down, but the lender is paying that. Do you have any objections to us paying more than 175?
It just cannot show that on the borrower side, we just cannot show that amount being over 1.75.
Right, it won't. Okay, thank you.
All right, so payment or refinance of personal debt. Down payment assistance cannot be used to pay off or refinance debt. Okay, so credit cards must be paid off prior to closing. On the borrower's responsibility, documents required from the borrower, most current pay stub, most current bank statements, home inspection, WDO termite inspection, the lead inspection if structure is built prior to 1978. Okay. Septic tank and well water inspection report, and pay outside of closing receipts. And then last, the HOA approval letter. All right, documents required from the title company. So we will need the following: a title commitment, first and second mortgage. It must be insured. I know we get that question a lot, so it must have insurance on that. The closing disclosure, an HUD, or an altered settlement statement, whichever is preferred. The closing protection letter for the first and second mortgage. The survey and invoice, if applicable. The wire instructions on bank or title company's letterhead to include the telephone number. Hold on one second.
They in the
All right. Also, the W-9 form, it must be a 2024 form or newer. Normally, we provide you guys with that during our initial communication email on who's going to be processing. So we'll provide you all with the W-9s. The homeowner association approval, if applicable. Please note, The following Palm Beach County mortgage clause is required on title commitment, CPL, survey, and also the homeowner's insurance. Just is. All right, making the numbers work. The maximum subsidy reserve, the maximum subsidy is not guaranteed. Palm Beach County will only lend what is necessary to make the cost of the home affordable. By this, that means that if the first mortgage is only giving the client a loan for 97,000. Our second loan cannot exceed the lender's first. So in that case, we can only give $96,999 as a second lien amount. The lender and underwriting documents. The 1003 and 1008 loan documents with qualifying ratios, conditional loan approval letter, appraisal, homeowners insurance, and flood insurance if applicable. This is very critical that we receive the 1003 and 1008 up front. That way we're able to identify whether or not the ratios are approved or if they need to be, if the loan amount should be reduced or increased. Okay, very important that we get those up front. If we have to request any exception approvals, it's better to have this completed in the beginning before we get towards the end of the closing where it gets very critical. Income. Palm Beach County projects, income going forward. Oh, I'm sorry. Palm Beach County projects income going forward 12 months. The borrower required housing expense for front end ratios. It's cut off. All right, so these are the ratios. Very low income needs to be between 25 and 27%. Low income should be between 28 and 30%. Moderate income category should be between 31 and 35%. And the total housing max ratio did not exceed 35%. All right. As for the back-end ratios, it's on the other side. Oh. As for the back-end ratios, the total debt should be 45%. And all ratios that are over may require a director's approval. Okay. And then also, we will be sending you guys this slide as well, if you haven't received it already. All right. So the home buyer inspection requirements. All inspections are required to protect the home buyer. The home buyer is responsible for all costs incurred, and these costs will be credited, not refunded, towards the minimum contributions. The independent private home inspection, the wood destroying organisms or termite inspection, the lead-based paint inspection, properties built prior to 1978, and the well water and septic tank inspection, if applicable. With these, we typically ask the realtor to provide, because again, these will be credited towards that 3.5%, which will reduce the amount that the applicant will have to bring to closing. Also, with the lead-based paint inspection, a lot of questions that come out is what if the property is built in 1978? We will need a lead-based paint inspection. Okay.
Excuse me, I have a question regarding this area.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm a realtor for quite a bit of time, and as of a recent inspection, we had a property that was built in 1979, and it was still required to have a lead-based paint inspection done on that.
Okay.
So if that's the case, then maybe that should be advised to the buyers, knowing that they'll have to either change their search status or include that in their inspection process. Is that still the case?
Is that a program that you encountered through Palm Beach County?
Yeah, that was the Home Partners program.
Home partners. I'm not sure. I can definitely find out for you, but I mean, currently, as of now, it's only if they're built in 1978 or before.
Right, and that's how I've always understood it. But unfortunately, in this particular case, the buyer had to have a lead-based paint inspection done and pay for it.
Needed a private home inspector.
Hey, good morning, Roberto. Who from our department requested that from you?
That was from the inspection department, I believe.
Okay, thanks.
Sure thing.
And then another thing to add, maybe the private home inspection that was conducted showed signs of it needing a lead-based paint. So it depends on the inspector as well.
Right. In this particular case, it did not, because the inspector did not search for that. But yeah, we were required to have that lead-based paint inspection done for a property built in 1979.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, all right. So the Palm Beach County inspection process, the county inspector will schedule the UPCS inspection with necessary parties when convenient for all. Note, there is no cost for the Uniform Physical Condition Standards UPCS inspection. This was previously known as the HQS. The name has been changed. Okay? For those who have part of this process. Once requested, it can take up to 10 business days to receive an inspection report. If the property passes the inspection, the file moves forward with processing for closing. If the property fails the inspection with required corrections, the seller may be required to complete the repairs prior to closing, or the repairs may be added to the borrower's rehabilitation component. Only if their entire subsidy is not used for purchase. Home fund repairs cannot exceed $5,000. Note, do not request a reinspection until all failed items have been addressed. Okay. So depending if the applicant has, remaining subsidy left, the subsidy could help pay for some of those repairs. It all depends on the individual unique experience. Some applicants may want to allocate most of their funds toward gap financing. They don't have a lot of money saved, or things like that. Just to keep in mind, it could be going toward down payment and closing costs, or one or the other as well. And then also just to touch on the reinspection, typically what happens is if the amounts are escrowed, until once the reinspection has passed, then those funds will be released all by the title company. Initially, what has been done is it's kind of easier for the applicant to find a contractor, a GC that will do all of the work. That way, once it's all completed, it can be released to that one person. We typically have not released individual amounts until everything has been satisfied. So that's just something to keep in mind. If they go and find multiple GCs, one for electrical, one for plumbing, one for roofing, then once all of the work has been completed, then they all will get paid. So that's just something to share with the buyers. All right, if the required rehabilitation or repairs per county UPCS inspection exceeds $10,000 per shift, a scope of work will be developed and bid for work to be completed by an approved contractor. The bid process may take up to 3 to 4 weeks. A scope of work and bid for work will be provided by an approved contractor. When the bid is awarded, the file will proceed with processing for closing. If required rehabilitation, repairs per county UPCS inspection is below $10,000, ship at least 2 estimates can be submitted from a licensed and insured contractor for review and approval by PBC staff. Just to touch bases, a lot of frequent questions asked is, can the applicant go select their own contractor? Well, they cannot. It has to be from our list of approved contractors. Okay. All right, property selection. So the eligible properties are new construction or existing single-family homes. This does not include mobile homes. Condominiums and or townhomes will be considered based upon lender's approval. Please note that if rehabilitation is necessary, the repairs amount shall be set aside until the work is completed. Total funding amount shall not exceed the maximum allowable. Investor-owned properties must first be approved by the first mortgage lender. The appraisal must line up with the sales price. All improvements and repairs must be documented. Contracts will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. The selected property must be located in Palm Beach County and meet all applicable building codes. Deficiencies must be corrected prior to or as part of the purchase transaction. In the case of new construction, a certificate of occupancy, or known as a CO, is required prior to occupancy. If the property is located in Boca Raton, Boynton Beach, Delray Beach, Wellington, or West Palm Beach, the applicant must first seek funding from that city. If no funding is available, the applicant must submit a written documentation of that city stating that no funding is available for purchase assistance for the income category. By doing so, that allows the county to step in and assist and allow them to use our program for subsidy assistance. If the applicant seeks to use land improvements, or any other equity that is not considered cash as the required match, then staff of HED shall review the subsidy request. Okay. At this time, what I'll do, I'll be handing over the presentation to Rosalind Powell, our program coordinator. She will be continuing to go over the information with you all. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I will be proceeding from here. So the process overview, getting started. Start with complete and submit the online application and required documents, income certification, maximum subsidy reserved. Then we go over to property selection, submit executed contract with cover form, provide proof of earnest deposit, county inspection process and report, borrower minimum contribution. Then we go into processing, title documents, underwriting documents, borrower's responsibilities. And then here are the 2024 annual income limits. Based upon number of people in the household, you see the maximum amount. The middle column in red is the 80%. That column is very important if you are buying, or you have a home buyer that's buying, participating in the home program, because their income cannot exceed what's in the red column. Pre-closing process. Submittal of contract documents. Applicant's name on all required documents must match the official identification, such as the driver's license or state ID provided at income certification. And what that means is we're going to be going by if you're on your driver's license, there's one middle name or two middle names, we will require all names be on the documents. A minimum of 45 days is required from receipt of the executed contract, a fully completed correct contract cover form, a private home inspection, a WDO termite inspection, earnest money deposit receipt, and escrow letter from the title company, submittal of title documents, submittal of lender documents. Once staff is in receipt of all required documents listed above, staff will begin to process file to meet the program guidelines. Next, the file is submitted for notice to proceed with the final subsidy amount. The NTP, or notice to proceed, will be sent to the lender, title company, and normally the realtors as well. Upon distribution of the NTP, 5 business days are required to close the file. The notice to proceed. After all documents are received and approved, a notice to proceed is issued. The notice to proceed, or the NTP, notifies all parties that Palm Beach County is ready to begin the closing process. Palm Beach County requires a minimum of 5 business days from the issuance of the notice to proceed to close the file. Note, prompt submittal of documents is in the best interest of all parties and gives closing staff sufficient time to meet closing deadlines. The closing process. The closer will send closing instructions to primarily the title company because they need to sign those closing instructions. The closer will work closely with the closing agent of the title company to gather the necessary documents to help move the file to the finish line. During this part of the process, subsidy may be increased or decreased if necessary. County staff will review and approve the HUD-1 / settlement statement and closing disclosure. Once final approval is received, the wire request and closing package will be prepared and routed for signatures to be submitted to the finance department. Once required signatures are received, staff will submit closing documents to the title company. The wiring process. Once applicants have closed, the following executed documents are submitted via email to the closer to begin the wire release process. A signed final HUD-1 settlement statement and closing disclosure. Copy of borrower's funds to close. Signed Palm Beach County mortgage, note, and declaration of restrictions. MHI subordination agreement. Copy of the warranty deed and survey. The timeline. If all of the above executed documents are received after 1 p.m., the wire released may take up to 48 hours. When the wire has been released, the closer will notify the title company and send a copy of the wire. Note, please do not contact finance department regarding an update on the wire release. Always contact the assigned closer or MHI supervisor manager. Delays with processing and closing. Some of the delays. Number 1, housing debt ratios not in compliance with program requirements. Incorrect insurance amount. Submitting a quote instead of an actual insurance binder. Having credit card debt on 1003 to be paid at closing. Amount of subordinate financing missing or different on the 1008 and 1003. Required county repairs per uniform physical condition standards inspection report. That used to be the HQS. Earnest deposit amount missing from 1003. Details of transaction or other credits. Other non-specific description of amount on 1003. Details of transaction, other credits. Cash to borrower is not allowed under any circumstances. Borrower does not have enough funds to close. Providing correct final CD and HUD. SHIP funds will not be used to pay per diem or any other activities if file does not close. If file does not close on time. Delays with closing, processing / closing. Title documents missing or incorrect information. Missing Palm Beach County's mortgagee clause, incorrect loan amount. POCs added to the Alta HUD-1 statement. The wiring instructions. Missing, incorrect, or incomplete information. Wiring instructions not on bank letterhead or title company letterhead. Wire instructions missing bank and or title company's telephone number. That one is huge. That usually is one of the main things that holds up closing, is not having the title company or the bank's phone number on those wire instructions, or not having the full bank account number. Title companies delay in submitting completed W-9 form. This is just a copy of what the wiring instructions should look like, or what the things that it should have on there. The bank name, the address, the phone number, and the bank ABA number. Also the beneficiary account name, beneficiary address, beneficiary phone number, and beneficiary account number. Borrower's responsibility. It is the sole responsibility of the borrower, not Palm Beach County, to pay all and any fees associated with a contract or contract extension that surpasses the original closing date. Okay, this is our Q&A time. So now's the time to ask any questions you may have. Are there any questions? Can you unmute them, Sherry?
Hi, Rosalind. Can you hear me? This is Jacqueline Walters.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I was trying to unmute, but I couldn't for some odd reason.
Okay.
The notice to proceed. I have a question about that, because I know it's a 45-day to execute the contract, but then the notice to proceed starts 5 days, I guess, after you receive all the documents. So is that 45-day reasonable?
Yes, it's reasonable. Sometimes we may need a few additional days, depending, to have the wire, to have the title company receive the wire, but 45 days is reasonable.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because you don't start the process until the notice to proceed is complete,
No,
correct?
our process starts once we receive the executed contract, the contract cover form, the inspections, and the escrow information. Once we have that, our 45-day clock starts.
Okay.
For the
Thank you.
wire instructions, do you want it from both the title company and their bank?
No, we only need one. We
Okay.
only need one. But the bank and the title company's information should be on the wire instructions.
Okay, I have a question. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so just so I understand, your 45 days starts, you're no longer waiting for the lender to approve the file, but once you get the signed contract, the buyer's inspection, and the proof of escrow, then you start working on the file.
And the contract cover form. So you would have the
Right,
executed
right.
contract.
Of course.
the cover
Yeah.
form, the inspections, and the escrow information. Then our 45-day
Okay.
clock starts.
Okay. And then I have another question from the previous section. I don't know if I heard it right, but I know previously the buyers were allowed to go look for their own contractors. Now you're saying that they have to use ship approved contractors, correct?
They can use, as long as the contractor is licensed and insured, they can
Uh-huh.
use them for repairs. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Rosalind. I'm
Good
Joyce.
morning.
I'm on the title side. How are you?
Good, thanks. Yourself?
Good, thank you. I have a question in reference to the wire. So I'm
Okay.
trying to understand does the wire not get sent for the closing? It's initiated after the closing.
Sometimes it's a matter of timing. We try to have that wire sent during the closing, and that's where that 5-day turnaround comes into play. If we have adequate time, then the wire can be available at the closing. You just need authorization to disperse the funds. But
Okay,
sometimes it's down to the wire, and we only had a day or two to close, and so that wasn't enough. That's not enough time to process that wire, and you get it at time of closing.
okay. So as far as our part, we need to make sure that we are aware of your timeline, because sometimes we will get information from the lender stating, okay, let's close this date, but then it may not be within your timeline. So I guess we have to just make sure that we're, kept in the loop as to what, your timeline is from the communication with the first lender. That's what I need to say, the first lender, because sometimes they're not always on the same page. So I guess we just need to make sure that we're kept in the loop of what's going on with that assistance program.
Yes. Well, we
All right.
try to be open and let you know, but like I said, because of the time frame we need to receive the wire, though sometimes that wire is not there at the actual time of closing.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I just wanted to quickly jump in and add something real quick with you guys. Hold on one second. In reference to what was asked earlier from the 45-day minimum, when the contract cover form, contract, inspections, and or lead-based paint is received, once we get all of those documents from HED Verify, is when that 45-day period starts. All right, just FYI. And then also in regards to the general contractor, when you're needing repairs on your property, you are able to choose a GC of your preference. However, during the bidding component of it, you must use a contractor from our preferred lenders list. So those are two different things going on. I just wanted to clarify that for everyone.
Good morning,
Oh,
Roberto with Leah
mhm.
Realty here. I got a couple of questions, so please bear with me. With regards to your comment on the contractors, on a recent transaction I had, I was sent a list of your contractors, which may have been about 30 of them. I literally reached out to every single one via email from all the email addresses and received two responses. One, they were not interested. And the second party came out, met with us, and then I never heard from them again. And we were in a situation where we desperately needed a contractor. So I found one on my own that was able to handle all the repair work. So I guess in that aspect, I don't know how often that list gets updated, but out of 30 people, only 2 replied was pretty poor, which wound up wasting a lot of our time. So just kind of, I guess that's just kind of an FYI so that you see most of those people just did not respond. I'd like to discuss a little bit about the inspection time period. Our contracts are binding. I try to get at least 15-day inspection period from the sellers. However, in a few instances, we've surpassed that time frame. On our end, I try to get an inspection done with the buyer within at least the first 3 days of the executed contract, so that I'm submitting a complete package to your office by the 5th day to include all inspections and the sorts. But there have been a couple of instances where the inspector from your program doesn't make it out on time, or makes it, but we don't get that reply from them. So now on our contract basis, we've put the buyer in jeopardy, because if the seller does not agree to extend that contract inspection period, the buyer has to either cancel that contract in order to keep their deposit funds, in order for them not to lose their deposit funds. So it's a hard sale to tell a seller, here's a program, it works great for the buyer, but for you, the seller, you're going to have to do certain things if you want this deal to go through. And then there's a long inspection time period on that as well. So how can we tighten up that time frame? Because after 15 days and I don't have a response from an inspector, to be able to tell the seller, I have nothing for you, would you like to continue this contract? That's a real hard sell. So I guess my question is, how do we tighten up that inspection time frame so that the buyer doesn't get it to a point where they can possibly lose their escrow deposit?
Well, unfortunately, right now we have one inspector, and he is trying his best, to accommodate everyone, considering he is doing the initial inspections, he's doing re-inspections. So sometimes there's a little bit longer time frame for him to get out and do that initial inspection. So
what I will say is, he normally will be contacting you guys within 48 hours. We have it in place that our inspectors must contact and at least schedule an inspection within 48 hours. We may not be able to get out to the property within 48 hours, but at least going forward, it'll be scheduled.
And in that part, they've done a great job. I know the one inspector, I've worked with him several times. He does excellent work. I don't blame him at all. I'm just, concerned on the buyer's end is if we're surpassing a 15-day inspection period, which, by the way, is kind of hard to sell for a lot of home sellers, to ask for an unknown extension, and then to also for them to be required to make certain repairs. It just makes it a little bit difficult to sell that process. With this one particular buyer, we went through 3 contracts, 3 separate contracts. I've been working with him since the beginning of January with this program. And for one reason or another, some of them were issues that the county would not accept, and we were forced to cancel contracts. I'm working with another current buyer with the same program, and we've already gone through 3 contracts, possibly working on our 4th now, again, since the beginning of January. And some of the issues were requirements that were needed from the county that either the seller wasn't willing to do, or it just winds up us canceling the contract. So that's just, I'm just voicing my opinion here. And in some cases, buyer's frustration, my frustration is that during that time period, which is very crucial, we don't have much leeway on what we can sell to the seller.
Good morning, Mr. Roberto. In regards to, I would like to first, apologize for the delays with the inspection and the re-inspections for your recent purchases with your applicant. We did have a situation where we were down to 1 inspector, in which we still are, But please know that we do take purchase assistance as a priority. So we are working on the processes to make sure that the inspection is being done within a timely manner in order for the applicant to meet their closing date.
Okay, I mean that's great. And again, your one inspector, he's great. I've met him several times, and he does excellent work. And he's
Thank you,
explained to me
appreciate that.
he's explained to me the same situation, and I understand. It's just hard to get across to the other side of the table on a seller's point of view, who's saying, okay, 15 days have passed, and now you're possibly asking me for more time. They may not be willing to extend that contract for the buyer. So now at that point, the buyer has spent quite a bit of money. And if we can't get the seller to extend that contract, that's a loss for the buyer.
Yes, we understand, and we're definitely working on that process.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Robert, hi, this is Miguel Munez. To help those cases, we do some deals with the county, and as a lender, we generally speak to the listing agent and recommend you to get an extended mortgage contingency period, because the county inspection is part of the mortgage approval process. So just a recommendation, and have your lender speak to the listing agent up front to ensure that they're aware of the timelines and the potential delays.
Yes, thank you for that. When I'm asking for an inspection period extension, I'm also asking for that time period extension as well. But thank you for that.
I have a question. Because I've been on both sides of the process as the listing agent for a ship home and the buyer's agent. Is there like a checklist that the county has? We know that, for inspections to look out for the normal plumbing, electrical, wood rot, and those things. We know that. Is there additional items? Because I know when I was a listing agent on one, the inspector came out and asked for something to be removed that was grandfathered in over 20 or 30 years ago. And it showed on the property appraiser's office as well. And it's like, we can't do that. But is there a checklist that we could say, these are the things to kind of prepare our buyers to be ready for, or say this property is just not going to work because these items needs to be already considered and taken care of?
Ms. Jacqueline, typically what we do, we send out the PowerPoint as the reference to be referred back to. Also with our initial introduction emails, we typically send out the items that are needed for the program.
The other thing to be
Either in the past, have you received the email, introduction email, and also the PowerPoint?
No, I have the PowerPoint introduction email. So I say I know what to look for a home inspection, but is there like when the home inspector comes out, because sometimes he picks out something just out of the blue, you're like, wait, that's something that's grandfathered there. And like for one of the homes that I had, he's like, oh, well, we need to tear down this whole structure. And I'm thinking, really? But it's there and I don't know. But long story short, I just wish, if there's something we had in our hands that we could say, this is something that's gonna, raise a red flag.
Well, that sounds like an unpermitted structure. So that might be something
No,
realtors
it
may
was
want to look
permitted.
into.
It was permitted, but the records were so old, and I think they couldn't go back in the history of it for the county or something. I don't know. It was really weird.
Okay. That sounds like maybe an unusual circumstance. Did you, maybe if there's some documentation to get from the building department to provide to the inspector, and that would be sufficient for him to verify that addition or whatever may be, was grandfathered in.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to find out if there was something that we can, if there's any type of checklist that we could say, okay, you know, this is what ship is going to, ding as a red flag and have that already taken care of.
No, we don't have a particular checklist because the inspectors, they do some research before they come out and take a look at the property. So that may have been something they saw when they did some initial research, but didn't see that it was grandfathered in. So that's a different circumstance. That's not something we see all the time on properties.
Okay. Thank you.
Was it Jacqueline? What we can do, or the inspector can provide you with is called the HQS inspection checklist, and they it's a new name now. The uniformed. It's a new name, but it's a formerly the HQS checklist that they can provide you, and that is the things that the items that they would look at. And also, it probably wouldn't hurt if, as a realtor, that you all conduct a research through the building department to see whether or not you see any unpermitted structures before you write a contract or before we move forward. Because if there are unpermitted structures on the on site, we cannot move forward with the purchase of that property until it's corrected. So whatever you can do in advance, that will be of assistance, because our inspector, they will reach out to the building department to verify that there aren't any unpermitted structures on that particular property.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, I've got another comment, if you don't mind. This is Roberto again with Layer Realty. This is actually a comment that came from the buyer. There's a lot of email addresses that we have to send out to. And during our recent transactions, in some occasions, emails went unreplied for a few days. And in a critical moment of either an inspection period or a mortgage period or something of that sort, getting the responses just kind of, when it takes a day or two to get a response on something that's crucial, it was kind of hurting the time frame a little bit. And he just wanted me to mention that out, that doesn't know if there's supposed to be a central email where it all goes through. But there was just a lot of email addresses that are going through there. And when you send out an email to 12, 13 different people and you don't get a response, it's kind of difficult to kind of handle that situation.
And I would just like to, good morning, this is Liz Woody with Third Federal. That's the main frustration we've had as well. We'll get an email first thing in the morning that states we urgently need X, Y, and Z documents. So we send them. Sometimes we've already sent them, but we'll send them again. And then we get absolutely no replies for, again, 2 to 3 days. And then we'll get another urgent email that something else is needed. So I've done several, both ship and home. I've worked with different realtors on them. And the communication, again, is our biggest thing. If you're asking me for something urgent, I'm kind of assuming within a reasonable amount of time, couple hours, that I would be communicated back to. So that would be my request. And again, I understand everyone is doing with less, but it is difficult.
What I will add is, of course, we apologize for that experience that you have encountered. It would be best to include on important emails or all emails, include HG Verify. That way it'll be sent to the main database. If anyone is absent or not in at the time, HED Verify, we have staff members that will be able to assist from that email and reach out to confirm if anything was submitted. Also, I know the frustration a lot comes from when documents are submitted, but they aren't correct. So it's just emailing continuously back and forth to try to get documents as well that are correct documents. So I know
But
going forward,
Ty,
going forward, as
yeah.
far as the communication, we will do a better job with making sure that we all communicate effectively as a whole going forward.
So Tyrone, thank you. Again, it's Liz, and you know, you're all lovely to deal with when we actually get on the phone and talk to you. And I realize email communication is sometimes difficult, but in my cases, the head email has been utilized.
Oh, you kind of went out, Liz.
Anything that can be done going forward is appreciated.
Yes, ma'am. Most definitely. Right. Do we have any more questions in regards to purchase assistance before we go on to workforce housing?
Good morning. This is Odessa. I wanted to ask a question, please. In
Yes.
regards to when the application portal opens up at 12 p.m., is there if someone is in need of application support and not going through a nonprofit organization, will they be able to call maybe the main number for some assistance or application support? Is that something that's maybe discussed in the orientation that they attend?
Typically what we do, we like to push the nonprofits, considering that they're being compensated for assistance. We do not we do not typically assist with that because of the number of applicants that may require assistance at once. So the nonprofit organizations are some the ones that we lean heavily on with assisting applicants during that time.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Because I want to say that we did here at Community Partners, we had the pleasure of assisting some people to close with the SHIP program that had initially did their application by themselves. They were successful, but when they got to the end and were under contract, we was able to help them. So thank you for that information.
Yes, ma'am. You're very welcome. All right.
Any other questions?
What we'll do now, we'll go ahead and just continue with the workforce housing component, and then at the end, we'll have another Q&A, answering questions for both programs. First being workforce housing, and then come back to SHIP. We will do so. Okay. All right. So I'll let Leslie take control. She will be the presenter going forward with workforce housing.
Good morning, everyone. Just want to say thank you all for your questions because that helps us with the program. So my name is Leslie George, and I have the pleasure of going over the workforce housing program. Want to draw your attention that this is an award-winning program. I'm going to read this definition for you. I know you know what the word workforce housing means. However, here in Palm Beach County, we have a specific meaning for workforce housing. So let me just go over this. So workforce housing is a mandatory program that provides for the development of workforce housing units in all new residential developments within the unincorporated Palm Beach County. So right now, what this part means is that if we have any developers that's coming into Palm Beach County in the urban suburban tier that's going to be building any units over 10, there's a mandatory component. And one of the components, there's a few other ones, but the main component that we look at is providing units. And so that will help you with your clients as they come through. And then this other part is workforce housing is intended to serve the housing needs of people employed in the jobs that the general population of the community relies upon to make the community economically viable. What this sentence means is that for people that work here in Palm Beach County, I know you may have clients maybe in Dade or St. Lucie or Martin in different counties, but this part here is really designed for people that are working here in Palm Beach County. So this part here is going to be our, I don't know what happened here, our income guidelines. And unlike the other chart that you saw with income, the workforce housing guidelines is a little bit different. So if you want to draw your attention here, if you notice, we have 2024. We have 4 different things listed here on the left-hand side. So we have household gross income, we have sales price, we have maximum subsidy and minimum buyer contribution. Then at the very top, we have 4 income categories. So I'm going to go over the first one for you. So under the first income category, it says 62,400 up to 83,200. Now, if you have a client that falls in this category, the sales price would be 218,400. Now the maximum subsidy is up to 58,968, and the minimum buyer contribution is 2.5%. I'm going to mention gross income again because it has to be gross and it's household. So it doesn't have to be one person that's making $80,000 or 62, but it's everyone in the household. And income, which I'm just going to go over, can be Social Security, child support. It can be, it can look a myriad of different ways, not just wages. So the second income category that we have here is 83,200 up to 104,000. And the sales price here is 280,800. Maximum subsidy is 56,160. And the minimum buyer contribution for the client is 3.5%. The third income category is 104 up to 124,800. Sales price is 343,200. Maximum subsidies up to 51,480, and the minimum buyer contribution is 3.5%. And then we get to our last income category, which is 124,800 up to 145,600, where the sales price is 405,600. And the maximum subsidy there is up to 40,560. Minimum buyer contribution is 3.5%. Now, as we say up to, it depends. The person may only need 30,000. They may need 40, or depends on their income category, they may need the full amount. So we have that there as a guideline, but just pay attention to what the ceiling is. And the other thing is that these sales prices that we have under the workforce housing program, these sales prices are set. So it's not any type of negotiations along with our other programs. That's why this program is a little bit unique, because if based on their income, it tells you what the sales price is. So just wanted to make sure and draw your attention to that. And then you may have clients that fall below the 62,400, or you may have clients that the household is above 145,600. Unfortunately, currently, they would not qualify for the workforce housing program. So, and we have, I'm going to drop that in the chat so you can copy that. Currently, we don't have any brand new workforce housing units, as you can see here, coming soon, but I'm going to drop some resales that we have in the chat. There we go. Some resales that we currently have. We have 3 resale units and with the various income categories. This link here that you see, one of the criteria for the workforce housing program is to go through an orientation. And basically what that is to explain to the clients really and truly what this program is about, because it is such a specialized program, so that they understand kind of the ins and outs of the program. If any of you are interested in taking the program, if taking the orientation, if you haven't, you're welcome to do that. This link will take you to where the registration is. So, and we have those orientations. They're virtual and it's once a month. And here's our upcoming calendar. So you can choose whichever one that you would like to attend. Some of the guidelines, as with the other program, there's underwriting guidelines. And with the workforce housing program, our guidelines are anywhere from 2.5% up to 3.5% that the client will have to put in that we just went over. Loan origination fees are the same, cannot exceed 1.75 of the loan amount. Refinancing cannot be used to pay off or refinance any kind of debt. Borrower's responsibility is documents required from the borrower must be current pay stub, must be current bank statements, and that's bank statements of everyone that lives in the home, and that's pay stubs of everyone that lives in the home as well, and the HOA approval letter. And the front end and the front end ratio cannot exceed 35%, and the back end ratio cannot exceed 48%. And so if any of you have any questions on the workforce housing program, please feel free to ask now. The other thing that I want to we'll probably drop in the chat, is if you are not aware, our department is on all social media platforms. And what we've been doing is putting a lot of our information on the platforms. They're also on the website, but if you are on those platforms as well, you can get up-to-date information. So we'll put that in the chat so that you can like, share, go to our social platforms if you are on social. So if there's anyone that has any questions on the workforce housing program, please unmute and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Going once. Going twice.
I got you before you said three. This is Roberto again. I just wanted to make a comment. A few of the people that I have worked with in this program seem to have a misunderstanding of how the funds given are used. Excuse me. For instance, if they're awarded up to $100,000, they believe that if they're qualified for $150 and they can purchase a $250,000 home, their understanding is, okay, well then I'll purchase a $200,000 home, and then I'll take that other $50,000 to make repairs on the home and the such. From which I'm telling them it doesn't work that way. Correct me if I'm wrong. You would qualify for, in that particular case, up to $50,000 and not receive any additional funds. Is that correct?
So my question is, and I'm going to go back to this slide for you. My question is, are we speaking of purchase assistance or the workforce housing program? Purchase assistance is up to $100,000. Workforce is categorized. So based on their income will determine how much subsidy they'll get. So it's categorized, and I left the slide there. Any one of you can take a screenshot of that, so you have that as a quick reference for you. But yeah, workforce doesn't go up that high. The subsidy is a little bit different.
Correct. That part I understand. I guess let me rephrase that question. So if let's talk about the program that gives up to $100,000.
Okay.
If they don't go that full amount, so again, they're qualified for $150 and they're being told they'll get $100,000 at closing, which allows them to purchase a $250,000 home. So now this particular buyer, let's say, says, okay, then I won't go $250,000 on my purchase. I'll do only $200,000 with the expectation that they're going to receive an additional $50,000 after closing, so that they'll get the full $100,000. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that correctly.
And maybe it's just me. I don't understand because we're only given 100, and so are you saying that they're trying to combine? Is that what it is? Because I don't know where the other 50 is coming from. So I don't understand, and maybe it's just me. If there's anybody else, staff, that understands that question, please feel free to unmic. But we only give 100, so there's no additional funding that's gonna come.
I think in Roberto's example, so instead of buying a $250,000 home, they're going to buy a 200,000 home, get a $150,000 mortgage, 50 from you at closing, but because they were approved for 100, they're thinking, I guess, that they're going to get cash back of 50,000.
Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Correct.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. And I said it was just me. So thank you. Yeah, no. So there's no cash back. So,
There's no cash
great.
back, correct.
That's a great, that's great. I'll sign up for that. But,
Sure, me too.
Of course, I would definitely sign up for that. But unfortunately, that's not how the purchase assistance program is structured. So there's no cash back. And as I believe it was Tyrone, as he was going through the slides, there's a lot of different things that cannot show in terms of any type of cash back on any of the documents. So no. So yeah, they're not understanding the way the program works. And feel free to call our office if they want some additional explanation on that, and we'll be happy to go through that with them, so that as when they get to you, they have a better understanding of what the program does. And if they've gotten an award letter and they've gone through that process where they are now able to go out and shop for a home, a lot of that information is detailed in our documentation. But just in case that they just need further explanation, please just have them call us and we will be happy to go over that with them.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for that question. Anybody else?
Hi, Leslie. Good morning. This is Siobhan Edgecombe.
Good morning.
Hi. Do you mind taking the slide back to the orientation dates again for me so I can take a snapshot of that?
Not a problem. Someone asked in the chat about first-time homebuyer. The way that this program is designed, the workforce housing program, you do not have to be a first-time home buyer. And let me just explain the categorization for first-time home buyers: anyone that has had purchased a home within the last 3 years. So the way the workforce housing program works is that you could have purchased a home 6 months ago, 5 months ago, or maybe 2 years ago. The only caveat is when you come through the program, you cannot own a house. And obviously it still falls under affordable housing. That what we are doing with the workforce housing program, it is for your primary residence. So the rules are still the same, just like any of our other programs. It has to be your primary resident. It is not made to be an Airbnb, a VBOB, any of that, your Florida home. It's not made for that. And as you can see with the prices that we have, the prices has been significantly discounted. So you don't have to be a first-time home buyer, but you cannot own a property when you come through the program. And let me just go a little bit further and say sometimes your name may be on somebody's name may be in a deed, and they may say, well, I don't own the property, so your name can't be in a deed. So just wanted to just explain that a little bit more. So any other questions? All right, going once.
Hi, Leslie. Good morning.
Good morning.
Question about not being, so if a person is going through divorce, the divorce decree says that the ex gets the house, but the name is still on the title. Will the divorce suffice to show that, well, no, that they're no longer owner of that property, so they can go through workforce housing?
So I'm going to say everything is on a case-by-case basis. And if it's something in the divorce documents that says that the ex-spouse will get will get the property, I'm pretty sure there's some legal things that has to happen on the back end. Because as you know, in the state of Florida, if two people are married or their name is still on the property, the other person has rights to half of the property. So I'm pretty sure there's some legal stuff on the back end, but we would take a look at that as well. So everything is really on a case-by-case basis.
Hey, Leslie, can I add to that? And
Yeah.
also, if that person is going to come through our program, they're going to need to demonstrate they're no longer on that title. So the divorce decree is one thing, being on the title is another.
Yes, okay. Because in some of the cases, the ex has moved out. They're no longer contributing to the house or anything. They're no longer, but for whatever reason, the person who's in the house can't refinance, even though they're making the payments, but they don't qualify to take the loan on themselves. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how we would work around it.
Yeah, until the other person's well, yeah, okay. So until let me see if I can explain that. Pretty much if they are, although they are contributing to the home, but if the other person's name is on there and they're not
right.
okay, yeah, we would need documentation for that. And plainly, as I said earlier, in the state of Florida, once you are married, the state of Florida does not recognize separation. So once you're married and both parties' name is on the title, the other person can get any other property that you may have. So that's really why we don't really do that. So I hope that answers your question. Anyone else?
Yes, I just have one more question. The dates on the upcoming virtual orientation, is this only for workforce housing, or are these dates also for the SHIP program as well?
Yeah, it's for workforce. The dates that I showed, they're for workforce housing. We have an orientation once a month.
Okay, I think I missed the other one for actual SHIP orientation dates.
I don't know if we currently, Rosin, do we have dates as yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
Like I said, stay tuned to our website. We do have to put that information out at least 30 days. Stay close. Dorina, did you want to answer? I see Dorina.
No, we have dates for home, but not SHIP, for the home purchase assistance, first time home buyer program, but not SHIP.
Yeah,
Okay.
Siobhan, this is Odessa. I can send you an email with the link so you can see those dates because they are already posted on their website for interested parties to attend. So I'll forward it to you for the home program.
Okay, thank you.
Can you send it to me as well too, please? Thanks.
Can you send it to Dorothy too, please? Thank you.
If everyone hang on for a little bit after this, I will have staff post those particular dates on this WebEx before you get off.
Okay.
Any other questions? Going once? Going twice?
I actually do have one more question. The addresses that was provided in the chat, I may have missed if you've already stated, are these properties already built, or are they going to be built? And can we walk into these properties? Like, how's the setup for those that may fall into that income bracket that may be interested?
So these properties are resales. So if you want to shoot me an email or give me a call, I will coordinate. I know the one for 5335 last weekend, he had an open house. I don't know. I don't have a date for another open house, but these properties are, people are living there. It's resale. So it's not, it's not, they're not empty. So if you're interested in any of these and you think you have clients that may be in this income category, you can shoot me an email and we will coordinate. But let me just say this as well. So remember, with the workforce housing program, they will have to come through our program, just like the purchase assistance program. They will go through the lender to get pre-approved, come through us so they can get income certified and then move forward. So that's kind of what they would do with that program. And the workforce housing program, the affordability period is 15 years. So just wanted to make sure that you knew that. But if, like I said, if you have anyone that you feel is in that income category, shoot me an email to arrange something with the seller, so that your client could see the home.
Okay, got it. Will do.
Will you be sending out a copy of the presentation to everyone that attended today?
I believe it's going to be posted on our website. I'm not sure if we are sending it out to everyone. Somebody can put in the chat. Roslyn, do you know if we're sending it out to everyone or we just post it on the website?
It will be on the website.
Okay, it will be on our website.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? So it looks like we have an orientation on Friday at 4 o'clock. One of the 16th already passed. So we have 3 additional ones. The next 2 Fridays in a row and on a Monday on October 7th, for those of you that are interested. All right. So once again, thank you all for taking the time and joining us this morning. Your participation is so necessary as we move through the program and we massage different things. So your questions, your feedback is deeply appreciated. So if you have any additional questions or anything, the contact information is at the bottom, and HED Verify, you can always shoot an email over to HED Verify. And like someone noted before, someone is always monitoring that email. So Dorina Jenkins Gaskin, who is our division director, she just unmuted, so I'm sure she want to share something.
I was just going to ask you, I just emailed the notification for the home. So if you can post that, Leslie, I emailed that if you can share that screen, please.
You mean for the orientation?
That has the information, the public announcement for the home program. And it has the orientation dates on there as well.
Yeah, Romel, it's here. Yeah, it's there. We got it. Along with the link. So they would just click on the link. So if you guys just copy and paste that.
No, I'm saying if you can share your screen so it can show on the presentation.
I'm not understanding. Share my screen so I can. I don't get it. I'm lost. I don't get it. I'm sorry. So besides the link, you want me to share something?
There you go. Here we
go. Okay.
Thank you, Romel.
Okay, because I didn't have that. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I emailed it, so that's why I was asking you to share.
Oh, okay.
But it's not showing that well. Is that the PDF format, Romel? Well, for those of you that because I can barely see it as well, it has been posted in the chat, and also it is on our website, and it has the orientation dates and the date that the application portal will open. In addition, if you go to the website, it also will list a list of the required documents in order to apply.
Dorina?
Yes.
Hi, it's Joyce. If
Hi,
you
Joyce.
click on that little plus sign, it will zoom it for you. It'll get bigger. It's where it says 100% at the top of the document. If you click on that plus sign, it zooms in.
Okay. I guess they're going to try it again.
You see at the top of the page where the document where it says 100% negative plus. If you click on that plus sign, it zooms in and it enlarges it for you.
So I just zoomed into 175. Can everyone see that?
No.
We can
I think
see,
you have
I
to
can
do it
see it,
yourself.
Leslie, but just being a participant, as a participant, you have the capacity to make it bigger for yourself because I just did it.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
I guess Romel will have to do it since he's the one that posted it. Romel, are you able to zoom in? Okay, let's see what we get.
But the attendees can do it too, Doreen. I
Oh.
just tried it. We can
Oh,
do
okay.
it.
Okay. So yes, the home first time home buyer program application portal will be opening on October the 9th. Prior to opening the application portal, we do have scheduled orientations. They're pre-application